Hey everyone, Dan here. We are after hours on Wednesday, March 24th. Wanted to take a look at some of the stocks that we've been tracking. And I mentioned this in my other videos, but in case you're only watching some of the videos that come out tonight, I'm recording in a new place, and the audio on this one might be a little weird because of that, because I don't know exactly what the outcome will be. So if it is, please bear with me, and I will get it fixed in the next couple of videos. But hopefully it's just fine. So, as always, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. Put any comments that you have below, and let's get right into it. So LGHL, I struggle with that one for some reason, is doing a bunch of nice things. So not only did it have this big pump up today from around say mid to low fours up over 5 just in a very short period of time, but it's had consistent pumps and drops and pumps and drops, and it's developing a couple of channels actually is what I think I see here. Let's take a look. So here's our bottoms and bottoms and bottoms, and here's our tops and tops and tops. And yeah, so if you see this channel sort of holding from all the way back here, which is the beginning of March, it got into this channel and then has done this is the nice thing about this channel is it like has some consistency with hitting the top, holding the bottom, hitting the top, holding it, and that's what you want, just because remember sort of like our strategy with channels is to dip buy at the bottom of the channel and then take profit if you want at the top of the channel, because what you're expecting is for it to continuously go from the bottom to the top until it doesn't hold the channel. So eventually that strategy will fail, but the idea would be sort of that you had made enough profit, collected enough profit over enough trades while it was holding the channel that taking a bit of an L at the end when it breaks the channel still left you in a very profitable overall position. So right now would be like mid-channel. So that's where you sort of like have to make decisions, and everyone should sort of figure those things out for themselves. Where's your ideal buy zone? Obviously, like very bottom of the channel is always great if you can snatch it, but just know that's also when you run the most risk of it just falling out of the channel. And then mid-channels are always sort of like a question, like just is there any like catalyst that's happening? Is there any additional price strength that is sort of leading you to take a position at any given time? But middle of the channel is always sort of a question. I do think there is sort of some other areas that we can pay attention to. So, there's all of this previous topping out here, and some sort of like resistance zones that it hit today. So I'd pay attention to this 457, see what it does while it's there. I would really, really expect it to hold this area if it gets down this far, because of all of this bottoming out, and then here, it didn't quite reach it, but that's just because it's making slightly higher lows. And it was previous resistance at this point here. So good level there if you wanted to sort of like think of a cut loss that would stretch outside of the channel. Because sometimes you'll see the stock fall out of the channel but then re-enter it relatively quickly, and you might kind of kick yourself if you panicked and jumped out prematurely. But just figure out your own sort of like tolerance level for your risk. So I think that'll be about 490. There'll be some stickiness there. I'd really be cautious. Actually, let me just put a box here. I'd really pay attention to this area here, because you don't want it to top out there again. It's already topped out sort of 3 times. We could just call it 2. But if it can establish above there and sort of ride the top of the channel up a little bit into the mid 5s, that would be a really strong position for LGHL. So I think that's all for this one. Let's see what happens. I took a position today, so let's keep an eye on it. CCIV has held this down channel that we were talking about yesterday. It's fallen through my bearish price zone for the week. It's now very far from my bullish price zone. I guess the question starts to become like, where's a solid dip buying opportunity? I was expecting it to hold this relatively well, but it's just really caught hard in this channel. Like some channels are just very, very strong. And it can be like strong meaning it really, really respects the channel and almost seems like it's being sucked into it. And CCIV has a good history of developing channels, like in the 30-minute chart especially. It was obviously in a good up channel here, but then it fell out, and now it has just established another channel, which definitely isn't always the case. A lot of times a stock will fall out of the channel and then move sideways for quite some time before it decides whether it's going to attempt back up or more likely drop down. But CCIV does have a history of just sort of like forming a channel and breaking that channel and then forming a new channel. So that said, now that we're in a down channel, you could potentially expect a strong uptick, but it's going to need to establish a few higher lows and start to develop a channel that we can identify based on that. So we'll keep an eye on it in the coming days, but I'm hoping that even though it's fallen below this current red zone 2297, that it can just sort of hug it, turn it into resistance a little bit, and then hop back over it. And that would break it out of the channel, and then it can make a few higher lows, and that could give us a new channel to draw upward on. All right, Mara. There's going to be a bunch of sadness today, obviously, if you couldn't tell. It was a rough day in the market, especially for these growth stocks, which are a lot of what we look at. Probably everything that we're looking at here, yeah. So, I would look for this to be a double bottom, potentially. And the other thing that could be happening here is there is this enormous gap that Mara came down to fill. And so now we would look for it to come up to fill it. And that would give us really good price strength to the bottom of my bearish zone at least. So getting us over 39.50, say, just to fill that gap. So I would look for it to do that because Mara has a strong history of filling gaps. These areas you see are filled already. And, it's a Bitcoin play, so it's tied heavily to that. But all of these things sort of have their own tendencies and trends that they typically follow over any course of time. So this is no different than that from that perspective. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this double bottom, because if it can't hold it, I don't think that 32.47 is really going to hold it. I think it'll fall through there pretty easily. It obviously fell through this one pretty easy. It had a very short stutter step where maybe it was going to bounce off that 36.25, but just not really a chance. So we'll see what holds here, but that's our best hope at the moment for any of the Mara bulls, is that $33 double bottom was the beginning of a trend reversal. All right, well, good luck if you're in any of these stocks. I wish you the best, and I will see you all in the next video.